When the king of the monsters bleeds in the movies, it's a big deal. It can be dramatic, like when the red stuff first splurted on screen in 1971's Godzilla vs. Gigan. Or it can be brutal, like in the final fight of Godzilla vs. Biollante. And if 2016's Shin Godzilla showed us anything, it was that Godzilla blood can just be really gross. But one thing movie-going audiences have never seen with Godzilla blood are consequences. We've seen what happens when Godzilla passes through downtown, leaving a trail of radiation in his wake. But what exactly happens when a 100-meter tall radioactive monster bleeds all over your neighborhood? It's a gruesome thought, but it's an idea that has been explored in the franchise, even if just at the conceptual level. The earliest indications of this might be in the storyboards of 1989's Godzilla vs. Biollante. During the first battle in Lake Ashi, the fight would have taken to the mainland after Godzilla tosses Biollante ashore. It's here that the plant monster mounts a counterattack with her vines, piercing Godzilla's hide much like how she does in the actual movie. Blood geysers out of Godzilla's wound and rains down upon the fleeing civilians below who choke to death on the poison. Such imagery, despite fitting into the darker tones of Biollante, might have been considered too much. Showing victims of Godzilla's destruction, after all, is actually quite rare, despite all the city rampages that take place in the franchise as a whole. But somebody in the creative circle liked this idea, so much so that it actually appeared again in the storyboards of the next film, 1991's Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. It's during the final bout between Mecha King Ghidorah and Godzilla. The three-headed monster robot unleashes missiles into the Monster King, making some bloody explosions that splash Japanese Self-Defense Force personnel on the ground with radioactive nastiness. Unlike Biollante, this idea is probably even more out of place. Godzilla vs. Biollante did a very lackluster job at the box office, very low ticket sales. It's said that executive producer Shogo Tomiyama saw the film as being too sophisticated for the kids, so he insisted that more fantasy elements be interjected into the next installment so it would resonate with the kiddies. With that in mind, it's not too ridiculous to assume that this gruesome idea just no longer had a place in a film series that would continue to be more child-friendly and lighter in tone. But if it had a place anywhere, it would have been in 2016's Shin Godzilla, and we kind of, almost, got it. In the final version of the movie, we see Godzilla gushing huge amounts of crimson from his gills as he waddles through Tokyo for the very first time. There's no real payoff for this occurrence. However, in a pre-viz deleted scene, during the helicopter standoff with Form 3, it's shown that he was to vomit blood all over the place. It floods the streets, steaming and hot, and starts popping car tires. No, it may not be death by radioactive blood rain, but it's probably the closest we've yet come to seeing how Godzilla blood might impact an environment on film. Will the idea ever actually be in a movie? Never say never, but don't hold your breath. If you want more kaiju and tokusatsu goodness, for Godzilla's sake, please subscribe to Monstrosities Tokusatsu Vlog here on YouTube, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This video was brought to you by Shopping Mall Japan, our #1 source of anime and tokusatsu collectibles, making sure that we all can collect responsibly.